Iran has unleashed its largest ever drone strike in history and missile attack at its age-old adversary, Israel. This significant escalation in tensions has sparked concerns globally. Why did Iran launch this attack? Will Israel retaliate? And if so, how? What potential consequences could this fresh conflict have on the region and beyond? In this video, we'll delve into everything you need to know about Iran's recent attack on Israel, providing comprehensive coverage and insights into this significant event. In the Middle East, Iran and Israel stand out as major military forces. Despite this, they couldn't be more different. Iran's Islamic regime refuses to recognize Israel, the world's only majority Jewish state. But this conflict isn't just about religion. It's a power struggle for influence in the region, especially considering Israel's strong alliance with the U.S. Let's dig deeper into the core of this dispute. In 1948, Iran made a significant move by being among the earliest Muslim-majority countries to recognize Israel upon its declaration of independence. However, the landscape drastically altered with the Iranian Revolution of 1979. This upheaval saw the downfall of the Western-backed Shah regime and the rise of Ruhollah Khomeini, the spearhead of the Islamic Revolution. Khomeini's vision extended beyond Iran's borders, advocating for the exportation of Islamic principles throughout the Middle East and globally, viewing Israel as a symbol of Western influence embedded in the heart of predominantly Muslim territories. Khomeini and his followers refused to acknowledge its legitimacy as a state. This stance solidified over time, shaping Iranian foreign policy to one that omits any formal recognition of Israel and notably avoids the mention of its name by Iranian leaders. In 2017, a peculiar clock made its debut in Tehran's oldest square, marking time with a chilling countdown, 2040. A date ominously associated with the destruction of Israel. This square, known as Palestine Square, isn't merely a historic landmark. It's a stage where the Iranian regime orchestrates protests to amplify its authoritarian ideology. The recent demonstrations in support of Palestine, following Hamas's attack on Israel, illustrate Iran's unwavering commitment to the Palestinian cause. However, beneath the surface there lies a complex narrative. While these protests convey solidarity, they may not necessarily mirror the genuine sentiments of the Iranian populace. Iran's authoritarian grip casts a shadow over public expression, often shaping and manipulating dissent to serve its own agenda. Despite the outward displays of support for Palestine, it's crucial to recognize the nuanced dynamics at play. Since the Iranian Revolution, the regime has proudly portrayed itself as a champion of Palestinian rights, perpetuating a narrative that resonates deeply with its constituents. Iran sees the Israel-Palestine issue as a key tool to assert its influence in the Middle East. Their foreign policy aims to position Iran as a dominant force, even claiming to be the leader of the Muslim world. To achieve this, they craft a persuasive narrative portraying themselves as champions of the oppressed, particularly the Palestinians. It's a strategic move designed to win support from everyday people across Arab-Muslim communities, painting Iran as the defender of the vulnerable in the region. Iran's reach extends far beyond its borders, as it actively supports what it terms the axis of resistance. Perhaps most notably, Iran provides backing to Hamas, a Palestinian militant group that gained international attention with its attack on Israel in 2023, an action that earned it the designation of a terrorist organization by both the US and the EU. However, Hamas is just one of several groups in the region receiving funding and arms from Iran. Among these are Islamic Jihad in Gaza and the West Bank, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Syrian Armed Forces, the Popular Mobilization Force in Iraq, and the Houthis in Yemen. By supporting these various groups, Iran not only extends its influence, but also positions itself as a prominent advocate for the Palestinian cause within the Arab world. It's important to recognize that while the majority of Muslims globally adhere to Sunni Islam, including many Palestinians, Iran's primary regional rival, Saudi Arabia, is also predominantly Sunni. In the geopolitical arena of the Middle East, Iran and Saudi Arabia engage in a multifaceted competition for influence. Iran, with its Shia majority, represents one branch of Islam, while Sunni majority Saudi Arabia stands as its rival. This religious contrast serves as a backdrop to their ongoing power struggle. Venturing further into the region, along the Lebanon-Israel border, we encounter Hezbollah, an Islamist militant group firmly entrenched in southern Lebanon. Much like Hamas, Hezbollah receives support from Iran, aligning itself with Tehran's anti-American and anti-Israeli stance. Meanwhile, in Yemen, the Houthis operate as a significant player, advocating for similar ideological positions as their Iranian counterparts. Their slogans, echoing sentiments of hostility towards America, Israel, and Jews, underscore the ideological kinship shared with Iran. The animosity towards Israel often aligns with anti-American sentiments, fostering a common ideology shared by the Iranian regime and its support for the Houthis. Despite Iran's denial of providing weapons to the group, various militias outside Iran's borders backed by the regime have influenced events such as the 2023 attack on Israel. Following the Hamas attack, Hezbollah launched missiles into Israel, prompting Israeli airstrikes in Lebanon, escalating long-standing tensions between the two. Meanwhile, the Houthis targeted Israeli-linked ships in the Red Sea, sparking a proxy confrontation between Iran and Israel. This raised the question, could Iran eventually find a pretext to directly confront Israel? In response to perceived threats from Iran and its proxies, Israel has undertaken proactive measures, including suspected airstrikes on targets in Sudan and Syria. These strikes, occurring in 2009 and 2013 among others, were aimed at disrupting the flow of weapons destined for Iran-backed groups like Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. This proactive stance underscores Israel's commitment to preventing the strengthening of hostile forces along its borders. Turning to Iran's nuclear program, the regime insists its intentions are peaceful, aimed solely at energy production. However, skepticism abounds among major world powers, including the US, China, UK, and EU, as well as Israel. Iran's history of deceit regarding its nuclear ambitions, including its previous denials of pursuing nuclear weapons, has eroded trust and heightened international scrutiny. Israel, a staunch critic of the Iran nuclear deal, sees Tehran's nuclear aspirations as a means to assert regional dominance and exert pressure on Western powers, particularly the United States. Israel perceives the Iranian nuclear program as an existential threat, given its potential to destabilize the region. Interestingly, Israel itself is believed to possess nuclear weapons, although it has never officially acknowledged this fact. Turning to Iran's nuclear infrastructure, key facilities like Natanz have been subject to numerous sabotage attacks over the years, attributed to Israel. These incidents, including a significant explosion in 2020, have reportedly set back Iran's nuclear ambitions by several years. Iran has publicly accused Israel of orchestrating these attacks, prompting implicit threats of retaliation from Israeli officials. Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency, is suspected of involvement in targeting Iranian individuals, including high-profile assassinations of nuclear scientists. Despite speculation, Israel has never officially confirmed its role in these operations. A lingering question persisted before now. Would Iran ultimately choose to intervene directly in the conflict? Initially, Conventional wisdom held that Iran would avoid direct involvement, wary of the potential for the conflict to spiral into a regional conflagration. However, recent developments have challenged this assumption. On April 1st, Israeli warplanes struck an Iranian consulate building in Damascus, Syria, resulting in the deaths of at least 13 individuals, including General Mohammad Reza Zahedi, a high-ranking figure in the Iranian Quds Force. Iran swiftly vowed revenge against Israel, with Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei issuing a stern warning stating, "We will make them regretful about the crime and similar acts." But what prompted Israel to launch this attack? The Quds Force, an integral part of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, operates as both a paramilitary and intelligence entity. Established in 1979 by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini following the Islamic Revolution, the IRGC was formed to safeguard the newly established theocratic state of Iran against both internal and external threats. With its army, naval, and air force wings, the IRGC boasts a substantial membership of around 125,000 personnel. Internally, IRGC members have held prominent positions within the Iranian government. However, it's the IRGC's activities beyond Iran's borders that draw widespread attention and concern. The IRGC has been involved in various military actions, espionage operations, and cybersecurity attacks, raising alarms among neighboring countries and international observers alike. Of particular significance is the Quds Force, known for its clandestine operations and support for proxy groups across the Middle East. This branch of the IRGC is tasked with conducting unconventional warfare and intelligence activities outside Iran's borders, further fueling tensions in the region. In 2019, the United States designated both the IRGC and the Quds Force as terrorist organizations, underscoring the global impact of Iran's paramilitary activities. Tehran has deployed Quds Force units across the Middle East to safeguard its interests beyond Iran's borders. In a region dominated by the rivalry between predominantly Shiite Iran and Sunni powerhouse Saudi Arabia, both countries wield influence through proxy organizations involved in local conflicts. Iran views Israel's close alliance with the U.S. as unwelcome Western interference in the Middle East, seeing it as a direct threat to its own security and interests. This sentiment is reflected in Ayatollah Khomeini's characterization of the U.S. as the Great Satan and Israel as the Little or Lesser Satan. Iran's long-standing animosity towards Israel has led to support for the Shiite militant group Hezbollah, which has engaged in conflicts against Israeli and U.S. interests in the region. Additionally, Iran has been critical of Israeli actions against Palestinians, further fueling tensions. The Quds Force, a branch of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, provides military and financial support to Hezbollah and has actively intervened in conflicts such as the Syrian civil war. Initially deployed to protect Shiite shrines, Quds Force operatives later played a significant role in supporting Syrian government forces against opposition groups, including ISIS, with whom they fought alongside Syrian and Russian forces to maintain President Bashar al-Assad's grip on power. This alliance has strengthened the strategic relationship between Damascus and Tehran. The Quds Force, a branch of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, maintains a significant presence in Syria, with reports suggesting that Iran operates numerous military bases throughout the country. General Zahedi, alongside other high-ranking officials, played a pivotal role in advancing Hezbollah's influence in both Lebanon and Syria. Zahedi's responsibilities included serving as a crucial link between Iran, Hezbollah, and Syrian intelligence services, as well as overseeing the guarantee of weapons shipments to Hezbollah, as stated by the U.S. Department of the Treasury. The Israeli strike that claimed the lives of these officers also targeted other key figures, such as the head of the Palestinian division of the Quds Force in Beirut and the commander of IRGC operations in Yemen. Additionally, a leader responsible for overseeing Iran-backed militias in Iraq was also among those killed. This demonstrates the extensive reach and involvement of Iran's military apparatus across multiple conflicts in the region. True to their vow of retaliation, Tehran launched an attack in response to Israel's assassination of Brigadier General Mohammad Reza Zahedi in Damascus earlier in the month. This strike, while causing minimal damage, marked a significant departure. It was Iran's first direct assault on Israeli territory after years of covert tensions. The Iranians aimed to target military facilities, including the air base in Nevatim, but their missiles were intercepted by Israeli air defense systems like Iron Dome and Arrow 3. While the potential for significant casualties loomed, these defense mechanisms managed to limit the harm, with only one reported casualty: a young Bedouin girl. Despite the relatively limited impact, the attack underscores the escalating tensions between Iran and Israel, with the potential for further repercussions in the region. The Israeli defense received crucial assistance from unexpected allies, including the United States, the United Kingdom, and notably Jordan. Despite recent tensions, Jordan's military intercepted drones and cruise missiles entering its airspace bound for Israel early on Sunday morning. Additionally, American radar systems strategically positioned across the Middle East, some in Arab countries with discrete partnerships with Israel, contributed to intercepting Iran's aerial threats. Observers speculated about Iran's motives behind the attack, suggesting it was more about making a symbolic gesture than inflicting significant damage. This interpretation was supported by several factors. Iran had forewarned of the attack days prior, allowing ample time for defensive measures. Furthermore, the attack was executed in waves rather than simultaneously, indicating a deliberate effort to reduce the effectiveness of Israel's defenses. Notably, Iran refrained from deploying larger, more accurate ballistic missiles, which could have posed a greater threat to Israel's security. Iran's allies significantly contributed to the attack as well. Missiles were launched from various locations, including Yemen, Iraq, and Syria, where Tehran maintains proxy militias. Furthermore, Hezbollah, the powerful Lebanese militia situated along Israel's northern border, fired volleys of Katyusha rockets into the Golan Heights. While this assault may seem like an escalation, it's essential to note that Hezbollah's actions in the Golan Heights are part of a series of ongoing exchanges between the group and the Israeli Defense Forces (IDF). Since October 7th, both sides have engaged in frequent missile exchanges, resulting in civilian displacement and casualties. Israeli airstrikes targeting Hezbollah and Hamas leaders in Lebanon have also contributed to the volatility in the region. Despite the intensity of these skirmishes, they have thus far remained confined to border areas, avoiding a broader escalation. In the wake of the recent events, Israeli commentators have interpreted Iran's attack as a significant setback for Tehran and a triumph for Israel. This assessment has raised concerns about potential retaliation. However, the reality is that such actions amidst ongoing conflicts with Hamas and Hezbollah could strain Israel's military resources and escalate tensions further. However, it's essential to acknowledge the broader implications of these developments. The decision by Iran to launch such an attack amidst Israel's engagement in multiple fronts underscores the complexity of the situation and the risks associated with further escalation. Some analysts speculate about the motives behind Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's approval of the strike on Damascus. While some suggest a deliberate attempt to instigate a broader crisis, others argue that it may have been a misjudgment, reminiscent of past instances where Israel misread the intentions of its adversaries. In the immediate aftermath, Israel and the U.S. confront a pivotal juncture where the looming danger lies in the potential spillover of the current conflict into neighboring territories, echoing the contagion witnessed in the Gaza and Lebanon wars over the past 6 months. Despite firm military support for Israel, Washington has invested significant diplomatic efforts to mitigate escalation. However, the pressing concern remains. Can the escalation be contained? Jordan's involvement in intercepting Iranian munitions underscores the widening regional tensions, particularly evident in Iraq. Meanwhile, the decision by Hezbollah to withhold its heavy rockets during the Iranian attack offers a fleeting respite from further escalation. The crucial question now is Israel's response strategy. Will they consider their defense against Iran as a sufficient deterrent, or will they opt for a retaliatory stance, risking a further escalation of hostilities? This decision will undoubtedly shape the trajectory of the conflict in the days and weeks ahead. The impact of the recent attacks on Iran's already struggling economy may have taken a backseat to political and military concerns as Iranian leaders orchestrated their offensive in the weeks following the consulate attack. Nevertheless, the immediate aftermath was felt in local markets, with foreign currencies surging as anxiety mounted over the potential escalation of the conflict into a regional war. Iran's national currency, the rial, experienced a sharp drop to a new record low before stabilizing somewhat in subsequent trading sessions. The biggest question looms: how will Israel react? Historically, Israel has upheld a policy of retaliation for every attack, often responding with considerable force. However, the stakes are higher now, as a counterattack risks not only igniting a regional conflict but potentially escalating into a global war. Despite calls from the United States and the international community to accept the defensive victory and move forward, Netanyahu is unlikely to heed this advice. This is partly due to the unprecedented nature of Iran's successful targeting of Israeli territory, which challenges Israel's security stance. Additionally, Netanyahu is known for his reluctance to allow others to have the final say in military matters. Reports suggest that the Israeli War Cabinet is considering a response within 48 hours. As tensions persist, all we can do is hope for a peaceful resolution to this conflict. Anticipation is building in the region as officials await Israel's response to Iran's direct attack, which marks an unprecedented escalation. The manner and severity of Israel's reaction will serve as a crucial indicator of whether the trajectory towards broader conflict is indeed halted or not. Given the limited damage and casualties from Iran's attack, Israel may opt for targeted strikes aimed at military bases, production facilities, or Iranian naval assets associated with the aggression. All eyes are on Israel to gauge the extent of its retaliatory measures. These heightened tensions are occurring on the backdrop of Israel's ongoing conflict with Hamas militants in Gaza, ignited by the October 7th attacks by the Palestinian group. This ongoing confrontation has led to a significant loss of life, with approximately 32,000 deaths, including civilians, and over 70,000 injuries reported so far. Thanks for tuning in to this episode. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more upcoming releases and updates. If you found this video engaging, you'll definitely want to check out the one showing on your screen right now. Click on it, and I'll catch you in the next video.